So why did I move to Sweden, and especially into a small town with about 10,000 people in it? Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an American from San Diego, California, living in Nora, Sweden. To make a long story short, I met a Swedish girl about 10 years ago in Los Angeles. Thoughts and prayers to those dealing with the fire that's going on in Los Angeles right now. And this Swedish girl was from a small town called Nora. Throughout our relationship, we would visit Nora, and I fell in love with the place right off the bat. Telling this Swedish girl that, hey, maybe one day we can retire here. So fast forward about 10 years, we're now married. We had been living in San Diego and LA throughout our relationship, and I think we were just looking for something new. We decided to have kids, and as a city boy, I saw the benefit in maybe raising our kids in a small town. You know, we always talked about what it would be like to move to Sweden, and when 2023 hit, we thought, why not? A better time than now. Personally, I would say that my life in the U.S. was burning me out, and I was looking for a fresh start. I was looking to maybe run away from everything. That first year moving here was definitely pretty magical, and it had its challenges. I was given a lot of opportunities to start fresh and reinvent myself, but at the end of the day, you can't necessarily run away from all of your problems. You do have to deal with them face to face. I'm now approaching my second year here in Sweden, and I have to admit, the second year was a lot harder for me. Whatever's left of the honeymoon phase has completely evaporated. But in the grand scheme of things, I think that I'm probably having a better time here in Sweden than back in the U.S. right now. And that's because this whole process has been challenging, which is great for personal growth and all that good stuff. So if you've ever thought about moving someplace new and starting fresh, yeah, I'd recommend it. But what do I know? I'm just an American living in Sweden.
All right, so I'm a New Yorker living in Sweden, and I love it here. I mean, what's not to love? I love it so much that I want to learn the language. But whenever I try to go out to speak it, this is what happens. Jag kan hjälpa nästa. Kan jag ha en kanelbulle och dricka? Sure, so you want a cinnamon bun, and what do you want to drink? Vatten? Okay, one water. What kind of water? Ramlosa. I'm sorry, what'd you say? Ramlosa? Can you say that again? That one? Ramlosa. Hey, då. Bye.
As an American who moved to Sweden, there is nothing that makes me feel more of a cultural clash than small talk. And I'm not even talking small talk, I'm just talking like any human interaction. Okay, that's dramatic, but truly there are so many moments here where I'm like, I'm trying not to be super American, but like I have to speak. And as a disclaimer, I am an introverted person. I like to socialize, but I'm introverted. And I'm not super loud. Like, ask my family. They'll tell you I was mute for like 10 years of my life, which is another story. However, there are so many moments here where I just feel like so loud, obnoxious, and oversharer simply because I'm saying like niceties that we do in the US. As an example, if I see someone who I have not seen in 1 year, obviously, I'm gonna say, hi, how are you? It's nice to see you. How have you been? And after I say goodbye, I'm gonna say, it was so nice to see you. Hope to see you again. If someone's going on holiday, I'm gonna say, I hope you have a great trip. I can't wait to hear all about it. If someone had a baby, you're gonna say, oh my gosh, congratulations. Tell me all about the baby. How is everything? If someone asks me about my weekend, I'm gonna tell them what I did. I'm not just gonna say, yeah, it was great, thanks. I feel like I am holding back from saying things because I don't want to be perceived as too American or fake or that my words are empty. But in the US, we were just raised to say these things. Like I cannot imagine saying goodbye to someone and not saying like, it was so nice to see you. Thanks for meeting. Thanks for having me over. And here, honestly, sometimes I leave social situations and I feel like, oh my God, I overshared, or like I said too much. I was too much, even though I am a quiet person. And when I voice these things to people, they're like, what are you talking about? You're a quiet person. But truthfully, I'm like, I'm oversharing. And I really do appreciate Swedish people, and they say what they mean. They mean what they say. But then at the same time, there are moments where I leave and I'm like, oh my God, they hate. And then my Swedish partner has to bring me back down to reality. And he's like, get a grip, you're American. I feel like Americans get a lot of flack for being fake when we say these things. But I, on the other hand, think like they're just nice, courteous things to do. You can call them lies or like fluff, but I will continue to say them because I think it makes people feel good and it makes me feel good when people say them. I would rather continue saying these things than say nothing. Like imagine leaving someone and you just say bye. Like I can't do that. And if you're an American living abroad, I'm curious if you've also experienced this.
What I really liked about living in Sweden while I get unready. So my favorite thing about Sweden and what I miss the most is I really enjoyed my slow life. And I know that might sound dramatic, but in America, I just genuinely feel like I am constantly go versus in Sweden, it's not like that. Like it's really not like that. It's a lot slower paced. I genuinely enjoyed that. Even though like groceries and stuff, like a lot of stuff was a bit higher in price when I lived there back in 2017, but they also make more money. But keep in mind, also, they have very high taxes. Now, hear me out. I think it's pretty good that they have high taxes because all those taxes truly goes back to the people in terms of that's why they have free universal health care. Why you get money for like if you were to get sick and you need to call VAB. That's what it's called. If you were to get sick and you need to call out of work, VAB, which is the government, like the government will make that payment to you and not your job. So like that way you don't lose your job and your job is not paying for it. So in reality, they can't get pissed at you because they're not the one paying you. The government is paying you. I liked the kindergartens, quote unquote daycares. They could be there literally from 8 to 5, 8 to 6. And it was pretty affordable. It goes based off of your income at max for ages 1 to 2. Maybe 100 and what was it? We talked about this in my last video. It was like $130 if that, but you also get paid from the government for your kids until they're the age of 16. And you get, it's not a lot, but it's enough to cover their daycare when you think about it. And then otherwise you can use it for their clothes. You can use it for whatever you would need to buy for your kids. Winter gear. That's the only thing I hated about Sweden. I don't like the cold. I hate the cold. So that's something that I don't necessarily like. I love the summers. I love that everyone's in the park hanging out with each other. I absolutely live for that. And I just loved my life there. I didn't have a car. I didn't need a car. I didn't need car insurance. I didn't need a car note. I didn't have to buy a car because public transportation went everywhere. Trams went all throughout the city. Buses went all throughout the city. The train went in and out of the city. And if you lived on an island, you can just take the ferry, the boat. I absolutely loved it. I loved it. It was great. Very child friendly. Sweden, I believe, is in the top 5 of the world top countries to raise a family or have children because they just have so many benefits for parents and having kids. Their maternity/paternity leave, everyone qualifies for that as long as you are registered in Sweden. Your child, like, you know, that kind of thing. Your child is registered in Sweden and everything. You don't have to have a job. So like I had mentioned in one of my videos about that and someone was like, oh, we get paternity leave and paid time off and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you had a job for that. If you didn't have the job, who was going to pay you? No one was going to pay you that, right? So like in Sweden, you can fact check me just in case, but from what I read yesterday, and I lived in Sweden, you did not have, you didn't have to, I didn't have a job and I got paid out for my daughter. And you can use those days up until your kid is 12, but you do lose some days if you don't get it before they're 8. So like there's some stipulations to it, but I mean, hey, free money is free money.
Such a culture shock.
What?
It's one of the weirdest things there is completely about Sweden. Look, we're in a 7-Eleven just on the street, and this is where you get your post delivered. It's literally like one of the craziest things about Sweden to me, I think. It's so weird that 7-Eleven's was like, yeah, we'll take on that responsibility. Like, we'll sell baked goods and hot dogs, and oh yeah, we'll also like take on people's packages.
I've literally never thought about this being a Swedish thing before.
It's so weird. I wonder if there's other countries that do it.
There has to be. I mean, so where do you get your packages delivered?
Like
to
we go to
your
like
door, maybe?
either our door, or we go to like a FedEx or a UPS
Oh yeah,
or
like a post office.
USPS, post office, yeah.
So it is currently minus 2 degrees Celsius, which is just below freezing, so probably about 28, 29 Fahrenheit, and my daughter is napping outside. Here she is in her stroller, sleeping really peacefully. So I'll be honest, when I first heard that this was what people do with babies in Sweden, I was shocked, just like probably you are. But not only because of the cold temperatures, but also obviously just because of safety. But I've come to notice that Sweden is just a lot safer of a place and people don't want to take your baby. People have actually said that if your baby is in the stroller while napping, it's kind of like a safety net for someone to not take your stroller because they don't want the responsibility of a child. This did take a second to wrap my head around, especially once we had our own child. There's my dog roaming in the background. But now that my daughter is 1 year old, we actually love it. As far as the cold weather goes, we always just make sure that our daughter is dressed properly. So that means a base layer of merino wool, which helps regulate her body temperature. And then on top of that, she has another wool overall. And then on top of that even is a down, almost like a sleeping sack or a sleeping bag. It's called a foot muff. That's specifically built for the stroller. So all of these just help regulate her temperature and also just keep her warm. It's also believed here that fresh air even helps them sleep better, which is why it's so common here. But it also helps the parents just get out and about, which is really crucial when you have a newborn, to not be just trapped in your home. So it's made it really easy for us to go out and about in the city or just go on walks around our home. So we have actually been doing this since she was born. And as far as the safety goes, I think that Sweden, like I said before, is a lot safer of a country. Nobody really wants to take your baby, but I never leave her in a place that feels uncomfortable to me. She oftentimes naps in our backyard where I can see her out the window very easily, or if we're out and about walking and I will be with the stroller at all times. And there's been occasions where I park her outside of a window and I go into a cafe or a store really quick while she's sleeping. I unfortunately don't think this will ever fly in the US, which is really unfortunate because I do think there are a lot of benefits of babies sleeping outside. So overall, I'm just really thankful to be in a country where I can feel safe leaving my child outside to get the fresh air that she needs and get a good nap in as well.